Let's talk a little bit about the ribbon bar. If you used older versions of Excel or other Windows programs, this looks a little new because you're probably used to drop-down menus and multiple rows of toolbars. If you use the 2007 version, this looks pretty familiar. And the deal is you have about 8 tabs going across here. And these are like tabs of a dialog box. And you click any of these tabs, and this shows you all the different parts of the ribbon. So there are no drop-down menus here in Excel 2010. The Home tab is the default tab, and that contains all around things that you would need at just about any time, like dealing with a clipboard, font formatting, alignment, dealing with formatting numbers, and so on. The Insert tab is what you use to insert things. If you want to insert a picture or clip art or text box or equations, that's what you do here. Page layout is, how does your page look? Are you dealing in portrait-oriented or landscape-oriented? Do you have page breaks, size of the page, and so on? Formulas deals with your calculations. Might look a little intimidating if you're not familiar with this, but don't worry, we'll come back to this. The Data tab, some of this deals with connecting to external data, maybe a website, maybe a database, and on the right side here deals with data analysis. The Review tab is helpful if you need to collaborate with others on your work, maybe passing comments back and forth. So if you need to work in a collaborative environment, you want to get familiar with the Review tab. The View tab, a lot of this is personal preference. How does your page look? Do you see the grid lines or do you not see the grid lines? How far in or out are you zoomed? Did you split the screen? All sorts of options. Let's go back to the Home tab here. You notice that the ribbon bar is broken up into sections. They're called groups. So we have the clipboard group, the font group, and so on. Now, some of these, like the font group, has this little launcher, and if you rest your mouse pointer on it, it gives you a little bit of help. Not all groups have them. So for example, the styles group, cells, editing, they don't have. Let's click the little arrow here, the launcher, and the font group, and you see that brings up the font tab of the Format Cells dialog box. I'll just close this here. Click the launcher for the alignment group, and that brings up the alignment tab of the same dialog box. Let's close that. Click the launcher for the number group, and that brings up the number tab of the same dialog box. So a lot of these kind of lead to the same place. And by the way, if you're familiar with the Format Cells dialog box from older versions, this hasn't changed in many, many versions. Close out of here. By the way, another way to get to that Format Cells dialog box is Control 1. Not F1, just the number 1. Hold down Control and press 1, and that will bring you into the Format Cells dialog box. I'll just cancel out. Now, also you notice that we have a graphic on the screen. We have this image here. If you click that image, you see you get another little tab. Now you have a Picture Tools section, and there's one tab underneath it. There will be other times when you have a section that has multiple tabs. Picture Tools has only one. Click Format, and you see this is everything to do with formatting that image. If you deselect it, click off it, you see that section goes away. Now, there's another way that you could access the ribbon bar, and that is if you press the Alt key on your keyboard, you get these little letters showing up. These are mnemonics. So, for example, if you press P, that brings up the Page Layout tab. And if you press O, not 0, but the letter O, that brings up Orientation. And I'm just going to click over here to get rid of that. Now, hit the Alt key one more time. If you've got these letters there, maybe you hit the Alt key by accident and you want to get rid of these, you can just hit the Escape key. Sometimes you need to hit it a couple of times, and that will get rid of those mnemonics. Now, if you don't like the ribbon bar, I have some bad news for you, that all of the Office 2010 applications are using the ribbon bar. But the good news is that once you learn how to deal with the ribbon bar in Excel, it works pretty much the same way in all of the other Microsoft Office applications.